Hello everybody. So we are going to make a wire wrapped ring, and I will be wrapping this 6mm faceted sunstone. It's so pretty. So we're going to be wrapping this bead. And for this, you want 20 gauge wire. You want 28 gauge wire. This is Parawire. I love their wire. It's amazing. Nylon tip pliers aren't totally necessary. I will show you guys a trick if you don't have any fancy tools for straightening your wire. You'll need round nose pliers, needle nose pliers, and flush cutters. And of course, a 8mm bead, a 6mm bead will work. Make sure whatever that you use, that your 20 gauge wire will fit through the hole of your bead. And then a ring mandrel. So we're gonna start. You also need a ruler. Gotta have a ruler. So I'm gonna move my tools out of the way here. If you're new to me, my name is Bailey. I have quite a few tutorials up on wire wrapping. I love teaching and sharing. If you guys enjoy this video, please leave me a comment, give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel grow. I appreciate all of you very, very much for supporting my channel. So what we're going to start with is, I just have this dish to throw my wire cutoffs in. So we have our ruler, and we're going to cut 3 base wires using the 20 gauge. So I'm going to cut 3 pieces at 1 foot long. And typically what I'll do is I'll just cut the first piece, and then I just take my spool of wire and I line up the cut piece with it, and I cut the next piece. So that's 2. You're gonna need 3. The reason why is we're gonna do a snake weave band, and we want our band to be structurally sound. Oh, you'll also need a hammer, some kind of hammer. I'll show you how to shape your band if you don't have a hammer. All good. So we have our 3 20 gauge base wires. Now, if you do not have any nylon tools like the wire straightener or the nylon tip pliers, you want to smoothen your wire. You don't want any bends or kinks in it, but it doesn't have to be paper edge straight. So let me bend this up and show you guys what you can do. You can take your plier handles and pinch the wire in between your thumb and the handle. And this is a great way to do it. You can also, of course, just use your fingers, get the wire warm so that you can get it nice and smooth. And of course, then you have if you have nylon tip pliers, you can just use those. So I'm just getting these nice and smooth. Okay, so your weaving, we want to start it. Move my doggy glitter. So we want to start our weaving. Make sure all your wires are lined up and even with each other. So our band is going to be like the center, the most middle section of 2 to 3 inches of wire. Now, I don't have like a legend that you can go by as to what ring size 2 inches of weaving makes or what ring size 3 inches of weaving makes. For the most part, I typically will do 2.5 inches of weaved section, and that makes about a size 7 to an 8-inch ring. It all depends on the end result and how much you add around your focal bead. So I'm going to take my ruler, and you can use a Sharpie to mark your starting point. So our wires are 12 inches. So I'm going to go from 4 inches to 6.5. That is my most centered area on our base wires. So I'm going to pick this up at my 4-inch mark, and it's okay if you bend all this so it's easier for you to hold on to it. And we're going to be weaving down the longer portion. I am right-handed, so I weave with my right hand. If you are left-handed and you are comfortable weaving with your left hand, you want to flip it around. You want to weave down the longer pieces of the base wires. Okay, so then I like to work off the spool when it comes to weaving. Got a little kink in there. You don't want kinks in your weaving wire. So I'll just drop it to my side. If you don't want to work off the spool, cut 2 feet of wire. I like to work off of the spool because it creates tension when I drop it to the floor. So we have a top wire, a middle wire, and a bottom wire if you are holding your pieces in this position. We're going to start by taking the 28 gauge. You want to give yourself a little bit of a tail. And we're going to make a couple of coils around the middle wire. So my 28 gauge is going up the hind side of our base wires, up from behind, and you're going to bring that tail up to where you're starting, and you're going to hold it down in place. And you can separate these so it's a little easier to get in and out of. I'm going to take this 28 gauge and I'm bringing it around the center wire, and I'm going to do 5 coils. There is no right or wrong amount of starting coils. I always say as long as you have between 5 and 10, you're good. This just anchors in the start of our weave. Now, if you look, you want your coils to be nice and tight and next to each other. So if you watch my hand movements, that might help you. This is just for those of you who aren't very familiar with wire. You got to think about it like you're conforming that weaving wire to the base wires. And you want them to be nice and tight and up against each other. Excuse me. So now we have this. I'm going to give you guys a minute to kind of examine that. So I didn't even count my coils, as long as you have something there to anchor in the start of your weave. So now what we're going to do is our 28 gauge, we're going to bring it around from underneath. You should be coming up from underneath in this case, over the bottom wire and the middle wire. Now, don't feel like you have to pull super tight. Just shape that wire over those base wires. And I'm going around 3 times. So now this is what we have. I really hope you guys can see that. So from here, your weaving wire should be sitting on top of the middle wire. We're going to go up the hind side over the top wire, and we're going to bring it around the middle. So now we're going around the top wire and the middle wire. Sorry, didn't mean to bump my camera. 3 times. So we're doing a pattern of 3 on 3. So again, my weaving wire is kind of resting on the middle wire. I'm bringing it up, coming towards me to bring it over the bottom and the middle. 3 times. Now, as we work our way down, you guys will see your base wires will start to get closer together and tighter together. You don't want to force your weaving wire if it's starting to get hard to bring it through. So what you can do is, if you have nylon pliers, that is great, because you can take it and smush all of that down and kind of line it back up, tighten everything up. And if you need to, see how these 2 wires are super tight together? I'm going to open this up a little bit so that I can get my wire down in there nice and smoothly. So there's 3. You can also, of course, use your needle nose pliers or some kind of chain nose or flat nose pliers if you have them. And again, I'm gonna do 2.5 inches of this weave. 2, 3, going up behind to go over the top and down over the middle. I'm sorry, I keep bumping the camera. 1. So if you look, my base wires are starting to get tighter and tighter and closer together. So I'm going to open them up a little bit. After this little set of 3, I'm going to take my nylon pliers. See how they're kind of moving next to each other really close. I'm going to take these pliers and smush everything. And then tighten things up. 2, 3. I do have another tutorial on this weave. It is called the snake weave. Sometimes people call it a checkerboard weave because it sort of looks like a checkerboard. You can call it whatever you want. Whatever helps you remember. 2, 3. I'm going to smush these, tighten up. So when you're doing this, I'll show you guys what I'm doing. When I go to do the next wraparound, I'm grabbing here and I'm pulling with the lower portion of my hand as I'm pushing that coil where I want it to be. I do my best to try to explain the little details like that, because for me it's muscle memory, but for some of you guys it can take a little bit to get a feel for the wire and find what is comfortable for you. Just be careful not to pull your wire too hard or try to force it, because you can break it. And you really want to try to avoid breaking your weaving wire when you're making a woven ring band, because you don't want anybody to feel that pokey in the band. I know I wouldn't want to feel that sliding a ring on and off. So that is very, very important that you do not have to go adding in wire. If you need to, of course, as you might have noticed, I've moved my hand up, excuse me, so that I have a little bit better of a grip on my weave and on my base wires. Three. I'm going to move this over a little bit more towards the light. Let me see. There we go. Two, 3. 1, 2, 3. You should always be going around 2 wires when you're doing this weave. And of course, if you want to get really creative and if you're totally loving this, you can take it further. You can change up the pattern. You can do this with 4 base wires. I love wire wrapping for this reason, because once you learn a weave, you can take it in so many different directions. There I go, bumping the camera again. Three. 1, 2, 3. I hope you guys don't mind my counting. I have a squirrely brain, so counting helps me. All right, so my base wires are starting to get really tight. everything up. And again, remember, you can pull your wires out a little bit to give yourself some weaving space. And it does help to have the ends separate from each other to get the wire down in between them. Really does help a lot doing that. Things are getting real tight again. Excuse me. I'm going to take a drink of coffee. Okay. I just looked over and my dog is like, he's got himself cuddled up in like 4 different pillows. It's so cute. Oh, I almost missed that center wire. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, things are getting real tight. It's super important that you do this when things get tight because that gives you more room to get your weaving wire in there. We're going to see where I'm at. We want 2.5 inches. So we are almost there. Whoop, I missed. Got it. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm starting to feel myself force that wire down in there. We don't want to do that. So we're going to smush. There we go. All right, we're going to do one more set of 3 and check our measurement. Okay, very, very close. Couple more sets. All right. Perfect. So this is kind of how it turns out. So now we're going to end this weave and we're going to end it the same way we started. So we're going to open up these wires and we're just going to do some coiling on the center wire and try to do the same amount that you did in the beginning when we started. Another thing too, always take your wire in the direction that it wants to go. So when I say that, my wire wanted to go up and behind and over. That's what you want to do. That is also really important when it comes to weaving and things. You want to take your wire in the direction it's already flowing. So we're going to take our flush cutters and we want the face, the flat face, flush against our project. And you can take your, make sure you cut your weaving wire, your 28 gauge. You can take your flat nose, chain nose, tweezer nose, pliers, whatever you have to conform that end to the rest of the base wire. And then we're going to come to the other side and do the same thing. Flush cut that off. Okay, so now we have our ring band. I'm going to get all of these together. And I'm going to grab my mandrel. And I'm going to flip the weave up. If you notice, the weave looks slightly different on the other side. You want the underside of the weave on the back of your mandrel. And you're going to fold these wires over. Now, if you're doing this do it. Oh my gosh, words. If you're doing this with me, this is really important. For it to make sense, you want to have the left side on top of the right side. If you do not do that, you will get confused if you're doing this exactly as I am. So make sure that the left side is on top and the right side is on bottom. So the goal with this is you want the ends of your weave to line up with each other like this. So this ring's going to be a size 8 roughly. So I'm going to hold both sides of the band. And it's okay if it moves around. You want to grab all 3 wires. We're focusing on the ones on the top. Hold your ring band. Apply pressure right here to pull these over and across. Because if you don't apply pressure, as you can see, everything's going to move. So I'm applying pressure and I'm pulling the wires down here with the rest of my hand and kind of curling it like that. And what you can do is flip the mandrel over and do the same thing. Apply a little bit of pressure. It takes some finagling with. It always takes me some finagling with, so do the same thing. We're basically hooking these wires together, and that's what you want. So I'm kind of finding that sweet spot where the ends meet just aesthetically. So this right here is roughly, that's what you want. You want the wires hooked together. You can kind of straighten them out, get them nice and tidied, and then we can pull this off the mandrel. Now, this is where it gets really fun. There are so many different things that you can do with this, but I'm going to try to keep you guys focused on one thing at a time. So now, if you look, remember I said the left portion of the weaving is on top and the right is on the bottom. I'm going to turn this. The left portion of the weaving is on the bottom now. You should be looking at it like this. We're going to grab one piece of wire, the bottom piece of wire on the right side. And we're going to slide our little bead on. And this takes a little finagling too, because we want this bead to sit in this little setting. So just kind of watch what I do. I'm lifting this wire up so the bead falls a little bit more flush in there. And I'm going to take this wire and find a way to secure it. So what I just did is I kind of pushed on the bead so that I could bring this wire back down a little bit. Now I'm going to be flipping and rotating this ring. So we started here, grabbed this bottom wire from this side, put our bead on, made it flush in this little setting. Now I'm looking at it like this. And we're going to take this wire, hold your bead in place, because if you don't, it's going to move on you. I'm going to take this wire and bring it through the ring because we need to secure this. I'm bringing it through, hold your bead in place, and wrap it around the band one time. So I'm going around again, so that's one full wrap, kind of looks like two. And just leave this wire off to the side. That's it. So now these two wires, we're going to take them. I'm going to kind of tighten things up a little bit over here. I'm going to move this because it's kind of in my way. I opened it up because we're going to do the ladder weave on these two wires. So I'm going to put this down and grab my 28 gauge. Again, if you don't want to work off the spool, just cut 2 feet of wire. So my width is about 1/4 of an inch. I'm probably going to go a little smaller. So what I'm doing, I'm laughing because I keep just going to do it without explaining. So we have our 2 wires here. We have our 28 gauge wire. I'm coming up from the back side to take this tail and put it in between those 2 wires. And I'm going to hold this tail. Now, the ladder weave, I also have a tutorial on this. Our wire, we're going to take it and we're going up and over the bottom wire. For this, we want to do at least 3 coils. 3 starting coils. Okay, so I did that. Now we're going to go up the back side to go over the top wire. And you want to go around 2 times. If you can see, I'm kind of getting them nice and next to each other. So with this weave, you're always going down through the middle. So I'm in the middle. It's totally normal if your weave slides around. Don't worry about it. Just keep bringing it back down to where it should be. My 28 gauge, I'm bringing it down, coming towards me, over the bottom wire and down through the middle. So I just did one, and I'm going around again. Achoo! Oh, that was so unsatisfying. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. Okay, so I'm in the middle. Now I'm coming back up over the top to go around twice. Now, let me show you guys something, because I notice in my classes, I teach classes at work, you don't want to do this. Your wire, you're dropping it in between, but you don't want to just slide it over, because then you're going to get this bump and your weave will be loosey-goosey. You want to make sure each coil is nice and tight. I need to move that wire. That is really important when it comes to a nice, clean weave. There is no rush in this. Mindful, tight coils. But also keep in mind, I almost did 3. Do 2. 2 on top, 2 on bottom. Keep in mind not to pull so tight that you distort your base wires. You don't want to do that. So I'm going up over the top, down through the middle, up over the top, down through the middle, coming around to go over the bottom, down through the middle, and over the bottom. This is this weave. You just keep repeating this same pattern, 2 on top, 2 on bottom. Now, I like having a small width in between my base wires because it just looks really, truly amazing with this type of weave. And as far as how much of this we're doing, we basically want this weave to frame around the bead that we're using. Now, I know I'm going a little fast. You guys take your time. Mindful coils. Let me show you guys kind of sideways what it looks like. It's like a figure 8 motion. So I went around the bottom, coming up around the back side to go over the top. We're going to see what this looks like at 1 inch of weaving so you guys can have a better idea. Again, keep in mind I am using a 6mm bead. So your guys' measurement as far as how much weaving you're going to do might be slightly different, but not by much at all. Probably just a couple of weaves. And like I said, it's totally normal if your weave slides up and down. That's actually a great way to read your wire. You can open it up and see if you are doing 2. You should see 2 little bumps, 2 little coils. If you see 2 on top, 2 on bottom, you're doing a great job and nailing it. And same with this. You can change up this pattern however which way you want. You can do 3 on top, 3 on bottom. You can do 5. The 5 on 5 pattern makes me think of the lace on a corset. It just looks like a really nice crisscross pattern. Okay, so let's see what I've got right now. I have almost an inch, but I think I have enough. So I'm going to end this weave by doing just 3 coils at the end of it. And I'm going to flush cut my 28 gauge off. Make sure you cut the right wire. That is very important. Okay, so you should be looking at something like this. And remember, you got to cut off your tail from the beginning too. And tuck away that pokey. So this is what we are looking at. Remember, if you are not holding your wire in a certain area and you go to move, everything will move on you unless you are holding it where you want it to stay. So I'm going to hold here, and I'm kind of guiding this weave around the bead. I'm just guiding it around. And yeah, I'm going to go all the way around. I'm going to kind of spread out my weave a little bit so I can make it. There we go. So I went all the way around. Now we need to secure this. So I'm taking these 2 wires. It really helps to give yourself a bump to push on. So I'm going to hold here. And I'm pushing on this bump because it just really helps to get that wire through. And now I rocked the wire. I hope you guys caught that. So I'm kind of pushing it in place where I want it to sit on the band. Rocking your wire tightens that up. Okay, and now those are just going to hang out like that. So now we're looking at something like this. And we're going to take, let's see, we're going to add a twisted. You guys, do you see how there's so many different things you can do? It's amazing. You can do the snake weave on these 3. You could do the ladder weave. You could twist these 2 together. You could twist these 2 together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this simple for you guys. I hope that maybe some of you take this into your own direction. It's literally unlimited. So what we're going to do is that singular piece of wire, that first one that we secured, I'm going to cut it right here. So if you look, there's a pokey, but it's when I smash it down, it's going to sit right in there. So we're going to take our flat pliers or tweezer nose pliers, whatever you have, and smush that down. Okay. Now, let's see. Okay. So we're looking at it like this. This third one on the bottom, we're going to take it and bring it through the ring. and bring it off to the right side where those other wires are hanging out. Just kind of pull it on over there because we're securing that. So now, this is one of my favorite ways to end a ring. We have 2 here and we have 2 here. So I'm going to curl these up. Just going to kind of curl them. Yep, up over here, right? I brought them kind of up and over. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to hold here. Think of this part like how we hooked our wires together before we put our bead on. We're making this pretty little swoop, this pretty little ring embellishment. And now we need to secure this. So make sure you hold your embellishment in place. Make yourself a bump to push in, to push on. And pull that around and through. Try to make sure your wires don't cross over each other. So I went all the way around. So now what we're going to do, I'm loving how this is turning out. So I'm going to bring it through again. And if you look up underneath your ring, there's empty space in there, which is good because we're going to cut these 2 pieces off. We're just going to cut them. But we want to cut them to where the ends are not, like you will not be able to feel the ends when you put this ring on. So I'm going to cut right about here. There's 1. I'm going to cut the other one. 2. Now Now we have these 2 little pokies in there, right? So we're going to take our flat nose, chain nose, tweezer nose, whatever you have. Grab the tips of those wires. Make sure you're holding your embellishment. And if you look, I'm kind of grabbing the bump, right? So I can curl and push that wire, that pokey, up in there. Nice and neat like. Just be mindful doing this. Be careful doing it. There's no rush. Yes, and now those wires are secured and it's nice and smooth. So now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so this wire right here, that single piece of wire, I'm going to cut it right about there so that it's kind of sitting on top of everything, right? I'm going to take my needle nose pliers and smash it down. Then we have these 2 wires here. We're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. Push down on your wire to make your little loopy embellishment. Kind of check it out, see if it's like roughly the same size as the other one. And we're going to bring this through. Make your bump so you can push on it. Bringing it all the way around. Make sure you're holding things in place. And I'm going to bring it through again so that I can cut those wires. Remember, think about your negative space. Kind of look at where you could put the ends of your wire at. Because you absolutely do not want pokies. And again, just take your time. I will say this is an intermediate, more of an intermediate wire wrapping project for sure. And if you guys do this, let me know. I don't know if there's a way I can have you guys send me pictures. I would love to see pictures. I guess for now, you guys could find me on Instagram or visit my website, wireweaveduniques.com, and send me an email with a picture of your ring. I would super love to see it. So this one, I need to move over just a little bit. Hang on, guys. I gotta go off camera so I can really see this. It's kind of hard to see through the screen. What I'm trying to do is move this little pokey over so I can get it in a specific spot. There we go. So I want this to be tucked up in there in that negative space. There we go. And the other one is good. All right. My Instagram, by the way, it's wire.weaved.uniques. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our mandrel. I'm not even going to pull out my hammer. I just want to show you guys how you can reshape your band without a hammer. Any pair of pliers that you have that has a smooth face on them, you can take them and just tap that smooth face around your band. Try not to hit your focal, of course, but this will reshape your band. Or use a nylon tip hammer if you have one. I like to use my nylon pliers to kind of go through and just do some tidying. Make sure everything is nice and flush for the most part. See this up in here, all those securing and wraparounds that we did make a difference in the ring size. So, because it takes up space. So, mine is like a 7 3/4. But this turned out really nice. And again, you guys can take it in your own direction. Add different weaves. There it is. That turned out so nice. I love it. Okay. Let me know in the comments if you guys make this ring with me. I hope it was easy for you to understand. I try to, think about beginners who have never wire wrapped before. But I will say this is an intermediate project. Let me know if you try it. Email me pictures if you did it. Find me on Instagram. You can message me there. That was a blast. Thank you guys very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check out my website. I am working on building my email list. And typically I'll email like a new blog that I wrote up on why crystals are different colors, or some of my favorite, most intricate pieces that I've wrapped. My website is wireweaveduniques.com, and by subscribing to my email list, you will get 15% off. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you guys very much. Please like and share this video to any friends who you think might love it, and drop a comment. It'll really help me in the YouTube algorithm, and you guys help my channel grow by being here and loving my videos. Okay, thank you guys.